So as you might be able to tell from this shot, the build is mostly done. There's a few things that need to be changed, but for the most part, I think we are in a pretty good spot. So I'm going to go over all that here in this video because I'm sure you're waiting for a completed build in the Enthoo 719, but I've run into a couple of snags, and in this video, I'm going to show you just a couple of the things that you might want to keep aware of if you're going to be building in here. So the first thing I'm going to say is that I really like this case. I really like the aesthetic behind it, but there's a couple of things that you really want to keep in mind. So I'm going to go take this top panel off, and I'm going to show you the first thing that I ran into. So you'll see the fans are up at the top, and the reason the fans are up at the top is because there's some poor case design here. So if you look, some are like right there. That is the 120 millimeter fan mounting point. This is the top panel mounting point. There's not a lot of space between there. And what I ran into with this is this isn't the widest radiator that EK sells. It's kind of the middle of the group. It's a 45 millimeter thick radiator. It's the PE 360. And what I found is if you put the radiator up here and tried to mount it, a little bit of the radiator sticks through on the side, and you can't put the top panel back on. So you run into an issue right there. There's no support for 140 millimeter radiators up here. I actually went and bought a slim 360 and set it on top here, and they line up. And it lines up very perfectly, and there's a gap, it'll fit. So you're gonna run into some clearance if you want your radiator mounted to the top panel. Now this is because unlike the Evolv X, unlike the Enthoo Evolv ATX, there's no radiator mount in here. It's directly to the top of the case. So I think that they could have done with another couple of millimeters of clearance, made the case slightly wider, bring it out just a little bit, and that would have alleviated this issue, but unfortunately that's not what they did. And this is the situation that you get. You can't put a 45 millimeter wide, well, it's not really that part that's the problem. It's the actual width of that's the height of the radiator. It's the width of the radiator. And this one is just slightly too wide to be mounted directly to the top. Now, you can alleviate that by mounting it like I did with the fans in a pull configuration. And the radiator, get this so that you can see, and the radiator is now sitting right there in plain sight. But if you have RGB fans, that kind of defeats the purpose and isn't exactly what I was going for, because now, as you see, these PC cooler fans, they don't get to be used the way that I actually wanted them to be used. The other thing that I ran into is actually down here. As you can see on this 280 millimeter radiator, I've got the tubes running to the bottom, and that is because they would not fit up in the top. There's just not enough clearance. And the reason for this, as you can see, they've made the mounting points for the 120 and the 140. There's only very specific ways that you can actually mount this radiator in here because of the way they have that set up. So really what you end up with is a situation where, unlike with the Evolv X, which has a rail that goes completely up and down, with only a little bit of a break in between for some reinforcement for the panel, you don't get to do that here. And if I could have brought this down like right about here where the top is, I might have been able to make the ports fit. The solution to this problem is right here on the bed. And so we have here our Coolstream 280 millimeter SE, and then we have the SE 360 as well. We're going to go ahead and swap both those radiators out. And while I'm at it, I'm also going to do this. Now this is Noctua. These are Noctua fans, and these are Noctua NF-P14S Redux, I guess. I don't know. I never know how to say that one. But these are 1500 RPM fans. They're not quite as powerful as the EK Vardar fans, but they will do the job pretty well. And then over here you can see we've got another set of PC Cooler Corona fans. Now this is a 5-pack, and the reason I like this, my dog is barking. Let me bring this over to where there's actually light. Now the reason I like these is there's a remote, and so I can use that remote and I don't have to worry about a controller inside of the case. Now I don't think I'm going to be able to connect those to these because the way they're connected is different, which strikes me as a little bit odd, but I'm going to look into it more when I'm doing this. If I can't, I will work around it. What this means is there's 2 fans down here in the bottom. They're coming out, and then let me go around to this side so you can see these fans. And these Phanteks Prism fans are also going to come out. There's nothing terribly wrong with them. They're just a little bit on the loud side. A little bit of a buzz coming from one of the top fans, and the white is not really as good as here. I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but the white is just not quite as good. It's got more of like a red tint to it. It's going to make things a little interesting because the EK reservoir, these fans and these fans are all going into that Phanteks controller, and so I'm going to have to redo this. Now there's another reason that this is not happening right away. This is the secondary system. This has got the 5820K in it, and this guy is also getting redone, and I was waiting for some angled aluminum fittings to come from EK. Those have arrived, so I'm going to be putting some 45 and 90 degree fittings in there, and that'll clean that up. But that is going to move into the Evolv X case, so I'm going to be redoing that loop. And I'm probably going to do a video on that as well, but I really just wanted to kind of show you where I was with the progress on this. Again, I really like the way the build looks for the most part. I'm just not terribly fond of that tube run that is going all the way down. I wanted it to come more across and then down. I'm going to add one of these guys. This is a fill port. I'm going to put it in at the top. I'm going to run a tube into one of the other inlets on the top of the reservoir, and that will make that look a little bit better. So I wanted to give you guys a little bit of an update as to where this build was in its process. I like a lot of it. I like that neon RGB strip, and I like the color scheme I'm using right now. I want to do something different with the fans, and I want to get the tube run so that it goes across to the top, and I think that will look much better. And additionally, I'm going to work on that other system as well. So that's it for this video. Just wanted to give you a quick update. So stay tuned. I will have the finished build up pretty soon with the extra footage of me redoing all this stuff. So that's it. Hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you in the next one, hopefully when this build is actually exactly how I want it.